Australia dumped out of the World Cup by Wales. My name's Mark, let's talk rugby. Early on in this one, Parecki concedes a very, stupid penalty really and allows Wales to go up the line. Wales then strike from that line out round about halfway. Wainwright claims it. They go off the top to the middle. Jack Morgan puts a little ball inside to Tompkins. He gets in behind and then puts Davies over the score under the post. Bigger converts this for 7-0. Australia then come forward. Some good carries from Frost and Ballatini gets them to within 5 metres or so, but the Welsh defence rallies and then drives them back to the edge of the 22. You have a nice fend from Karevi, gets them back on the front foot. Arnold then goes through a gap and offloads brilliantly from the deck, close to the line, but then they knock it on. Australia, they had a penalty coming though, so Donaldson makes a 7-3 from in front. Australia come again. McDermott puts a nice little chip in, almost gets there, and Liam Williams beats him to it but knocks it on. Decent attacking scrum position. Bigger then has to go off. Doesn't seem to recover from a knock that happened like earlier when Australia were attacking last time. Anscombe comes on for him. Australia put the pressure on in that scrum. Wales collapse and it's a penalty. Donaldson makes a 7-6. Anscombe then misses a penalty that, it wasn't that difficult. For the rest of I thought he had a good game, but other than, that kick at the start, it was kind of a turning point here. But it wasn't long before he gets a chance again. And this is what I mean. He had that miss, but about a minute later, or even less, he gets another kick at the post because Australia infringe again. And this time he gets a 10-6. So really settled him there. Australia then, they win another penalty at the scrum. Thomas gets pinged. Australia's scrum, it'd been really good all year up to now. We saw them kind of, a bit not as good as possible in this Rugby World Cup as we've seen them, in the Rugby Championship. But still, they get in a good position from the penalty here. We have a lovely offload then from McDermott, and when they attack from the line out, Liotta then breaks up the left wing. Wales counter ruck, but then Thomas gets pinged. It's penalty to Australia. So Donaldson could just step up and make it a 1-point game, but they decide to go to the corner, and it would have been an easy 3 if they wanted it. Wales then turn it over at the line out, and Jack Morgan launches a monster kick downfield for 50-22. And if it stayed in, they actually might have scored a try because it was their players who were closing in on the ball. But yeah, a big turnaround there. So you have the Anscombe, getting the second bite of the cherry, as it were, and then Donaldson not taking the 3, or more that it was Australia didn't take the 3 when they had the chance. And now from here, Wales, they go through a few phases. They've got penalty advantage, not really getting anywhere, so they decide to kick for the posts. Anscombe strokes it over for 13-6. Wales, they're aggressive in defence. There's some good line speed from them, and they're very physical as well, keeping Australia in their own half. Wales then win a penalty for Valentini diving on an emergent ball. Anscombe makes a 16-6 from the tee, and 10 points at this stage seems like a big lead given how the first half has gone so far. Wales then, they get a nudge on in the scrum and attack off the back. North makes good ground on the wing, cuts inside and releases Lewis Rees-Zammit. He gets held up over the line though, and halftime score is 16-6. And it's hard to see, Australia, they haven't really done anything in that first half to inspire confidence that they can actually come back. And you're just thinking Eddie Jones, he's got to lift them at half time. We come to the restart then. Australia claim, but Tompkins gets there, manages to hold them up, and Wales turn it into a maul and then turn the ball over. Not to start Australia wanted at all. Wales then win a penalty at the scrum, and Wales, they did really well to turn that scrum around in the second half. Anscombe stretches the lead out to 19-6. Australia just look completely lost right now. Then Wales, they come forward again, win another scrum penalty, and they're set up in the odds 22. Anscombe chips over the top, and Tompkins gets there first to ground the ball behind the posts. Anscombe converts, and it's 26-6. And yeah, at this point, just thinking Australia are done. They're not coming back from here. We have a high tackle from Karevi, and that allows Anscombe to stretch it out to 29-6. Carter Gordon then comes on for Australia. Like, he got dropped. First of all, he got hooked, and then he got dropped for this game as well. But now, it's Donaldson getting hooked instead. And then Carter Gordon, he kicks an up and under straight up and down on top of his own players, so they're all offside. Anscombe then pops over the penalty, and it's 32-6. And yeah, whatever, even the most optimistic Wallaby fan just knows it's not happening from here. Australia, though, they do come forward for once. They string some phases together, not making much progress. And then Wales hold up Corambetti in the tackle and turn it over. They did really well with that tactic, like just getting in around the ball carrier and making sure he couldn't get a knee on the ground. Nawaka Nisawase then kicks out on the full from a ball pass back into his own 22. And like, that's just Australia today. Like, it's just nothing going right. And they were like, a lot of it was their own fault as well. Wales then with the line out in a good position, but that comes to nothing. But they do come back on attack. They get over the line, but Anscombe, they couldn't get over the line, but Anscombe, he's in the pocket. He pops over a drop goal for 35-6. Carter Gordon then, he's tackled high, and he decides to kick for the corner, but it just goes completely dead. It's like, yeah, nothing's going their way at all. Wales, they get a penalty. They go to the corner. Basham secures the line out. They drive over. Morgan is the scorer. It was so easy for them as well in that driving ball. Just like Australia, I'm not going to say they couldn't be bothered, but they were just completely deflated. And, it was almost like some of the games we've seen recently between, the big tier 1 nations and some of the minnows. That's what this felt like here. The conversion was missed. We're at 40 points to 6. Jack Morgan was the scorer there. I'm not sure. I think I said that now. Australia then go for a consolation score to death, but Vunivalu gets held up over the line. Full time is 40 points to 6. The biggest win for Wales against Australia before this was in 1975. It was a 28 points to 3 win, so 25-point margin. This one, 34-point margin, so their biggest win by a good stretch there, and fully deserved by Wales. It felt like as well that if they needed to, they could have gone up another gear as well in this game. So although it was an abject performance from Australia, it was still a good performance from Wales. You can see that Gatland is getting the playing, and Welsh fans are going to get excited because they're definitely in the quarterfinals now, and they are, looking at a possible semi-final now at least. And yeah, that's exciting times from where they were in the Six Nations and the warm-ups as well. So nice surprise for Welsh fans. But Australia, like, my heart goes out to them because, a few years ago now, I used to do Six Nations reports for the website Green and Gold Rugby, which is like the biggest fan website for the Wallabies in Australia. So, as part of that, I was on the forums every day chatting to people and stuff like that. And that's how, like, I got asked to write some of the Six Nations reviews, and I really enjoyed that. But then, when I moved to Japan, it just meant that it was hard to actually catch the Six Nations games. So I stopped doing that and kind of lost touch with a lot of guys from there, like that I built up, a good kind of rapport with. But just thinking of a lot of those guys that I usually chat with on a daily basis about, Australian rugby and things like Super Rugby, the Reds and the Taz, etc., the Force and the Wallabies and what was going on up north and stuff like that. But, a lot of those guys now, imagine how they feel having seen that from their team. Like, it's one thing to, go down fighting, but, they went out with a whimper in this one, and it's got to hurt. And the fact that they've got another game to play is even worse, I think, because at this stage, if that was Ireland, although I love rugby, I'd have a desire to just bury my head under a rock and forget rugby existed. Now I wouldn't. I'd still watch the games because I'm that much of a rugby tragic. But that's the way those fans must feel. And I feel sorry for the fans because a lot of this as well, it's like the ARU have kind of inflicted on themselves, I feel, because as part of being involved in that community, I saw a lot of what the ARU were doing in terms of the trying to improve the Wallabies, and a lot of it they were talking about we're the most competitive sporting market in the world. That's all I'd hear from, and some of the fans are part of that as well to you, and and a lot of that then came to the point where they were talking about we need to be more like rugby league. We need to change the game to make it more exciting. We need more home derbies, and that desire to have more home derbies ultimately led to the South African teams exiting Super Rugby, and Australia and New Zealand's loss was absolutely the URC's gain, and they've been immense up here, and whether Australians, whether they they don't obviously didn't like the brand of rugby that the South African teams played, but that brand of rugby made your team better, and now they're not there anymore. But yeah, I feel sorry for the Australian fans, but at the same time, I don't feel sorry for the ARU because, again, this is a mess of their own making. And unless there's changes in the organisation, like, root and branch, like it's hard to see the Wallabies, coming back. Like there's only so much, money you can spend on rugby league converts. And yeah, I don't think that's the solution for them. But great win by Wales, and as I said, they are absolutely definitely in the quarterfinals now, and probably looking at a semi-final berth.